It's time to learn how the mortgage industry's best are winning business and building powerful brands on social media. Welcome to WinSocial Live. All right, everybody. Hey, thanks for tuning in today. This is something new that I'm trying out, and I'm practicing what I preach. Get out there and try something and see what happens. But I'm pretty convinced that today is going to be a lot of fun and pretty insightful because I got the Kayla Callender here with me today, and she's going to talk about her journey on LinkedIn and social media. She's a loan officer. She crushes it on social. She was part of the Green Book that a lot of you know and have read. And Kayla, thank you so much for being here today. I appreciate you.
I am pumped to be here. LinkedIn Live. Look out. We're here for it.
That's right. Look out. So, all right, I'm going to jump in because guys, like what I want this to be is a pretty, jam-packed, like just actionable things you can do, hearing stories from loan officers who have had success on social media, who are bringing in business through social media. Because I think a lot of times what we do is we hear that you can do it, but we don't see the ones who are actually doing it. And then we might know of loan officers who bring business in, but we don't actually like hear from the loan officer. And so today, Kayla, I'm just going to hear your story, ask you questions, and we're just going to sit back and learn, all of us. And I'm excited to learn as well.
Love it. I'm excited too. This is, I think, needed in our industry. It's so needed, and to hear from the people and to just get down to actionable items, like you said.
That's right. All right. So let's just set the scene here quickly. Like, tell me a little bit about your background. Let everybody know where you, how you started in mortgage, and what area of the country you're in, all that fun stuff. Welcome.
Well, I'll start with that because I'm in Fargo, North Dakota.
Live.
Yeah, sure, you betcha. Yes, I am. So I think it's fun to bring that up because a lot of the podcasts I'm on or things I do, it's like it doesn't matter where you're at. You can use social media and reach a mass amount of people and break geographical boundaries no matter where you're at. So located in Fargo, I finance all 50 states, and I'm a mortgage lender, and I've been in the business as a lender. I've been in other roles, but as a lender, I've been doing this for about 7-8 years now. Nice. And, when I look back at, how I started my journey and how I got into mortgage, I think everyone probably has the same reason. It's I accidentally fell into it, as a realtor or a lender. Usually that's what happens. It's accidental. And that's what happened with me. And so I am, in and out every day. I know how hard this job is. I know the struggles that we all experience. It's hard work. And one of the things that I can say has been really great for my career has been the use of social media. And so as I've progressed and grown and basically it just increased the amount of people I talk to and connect with. It's all been because of social media.
Okay. All right. So let me ask you this. So when you first started as a loan officer, loan originator, trying to go out there and get your own business, were you like already active on social media and already had like a following, or did you like, kind of go the old school route where you went out and went in person and did your networking thing? At what point did you bring social media into the equation, and like what was the catalyst for it?
I was so brand new to mortgage. I didn't even know what DTI meant. I didn't even know what FICO meant. They were like, you can talk to people, just go sell. And that's scary. It's scary to have conversations and coffee with realtors and not really know what you're doing. I think in this business, it's baptism by fire a lot of times. So I did not start out with a social media following. I had social media, but I started as a processor / loan originator. So it's kind of a hybrid role. And that was in about 2014. And that's when I actually got LinkedIn and started to kind of, use it. So as I started to originate, I would put posts up on LinkedIn and Facebook and say, closed a loan. It was not the type of strategy I use today, but I would say I started social media very slowly when I first started originating. And that was, as I was processing a little bit. So I would say about 2014 to 2017, I started posting. And that's also when I started to originate as well.
Okay. So when you started, it sounds like you started the way a lot of people did. Like I should be, I know I should be on here. So I'm gonna do the posts when, maybe when I can, or like absolutely show the good stuff, right? Where closing's happening and people are happy. What kept you going? Did you start seeing results pretty quickly, or did you like fine tune your strategy and then from there started seeing the results?
A lot of, when you're on a social media platform and no one's really using it, I think there's a lot of kind of backlash a little bit, like, oh, Kayla's going to take another picture closing, or I'd be sitting at the table and the realtor would joke, oh, Kayla's going to take a photo. Well, yeah, I was. And so I got in my head a little bit because I'm like, okay, maybe does it seem like it's vanity? Does it seem like I'm, only doing this to just be like, I'm successful and I closed another loan? And it wasn't about that. I wanted people to know what I did. And I think when people see you doing business, they're saying you're successful, and people want to associate with successful people. But I had actually pulled back a little bit. I'm like, I better not post so much. Like maybe this doesn't seem professional. And this was probably in 2016. And then I write about this in my chapter of the Green Book, about how I actually progressed forward. And I progressed forward because I was out one weekend and I was with my sister, and this guy had come up to me randomly where we were at this establishment. And he's like, hey, you're the LinkedIn girl. And I'm like, who are you? And he's like, I see your stuff. And he had said something, but he goes, if I need a mortgage, I know who I'm going to. And at that moment, I'm like, I don't know this guy. He knows who I am. I've never seen him like my stuff or comment. And it just really like resonated with me that if I actually was intentional about what I put out there and I tried, who could I reach that it's free, it doesn't cost me anything, and I love to post. So that's when I kind of started to push more into social media when that light bulb went off that weekend.
So this is the journey, all right? And so if you're watching this and you haven't been active on social media, or you were active for a short period of time and then you gave up because you didn't see the results, this is the story of how most of us start. All right. So what happens is you start doing something, you start posting or being more active, and then this moment where the light bulb clicks, and it's not immediate because it takes a little bit of time, right? Like you could have been at a different spot and the guy didn't come up to you. And so it might have been another month before the light bulb clicked with somebody else, but a light bulb moment happens. And what happens is that somebody pops up in your DMs, or somebody sees you on the street or wherever it is. And they're like, I know you, I've seen you. And even though I don't like any of your stuff, like physically go in and press the like button or comment or whatnot, and so you think it's just nobody, people see you. And that is such a powerful thing. And I love that story. I absolutely love that story, because that's exactly what happened to me. It's what happens to everybody else I talk to.
Well, and I think that it's easy to get in your head, but it's like, just because people aren't liking and sharing and commenting, I don't like and share and comment on every single post I see. It's you're creating this law of familiarity, and people start to see you and recognize you. I mean, think of these big companies, Coke and Nike. I mean, they're constantly, marketing. They're spending a lot more money than I am because mine doesn't cost anything. But it's that familiarity, that familiarity feel, and that's where you get into people, and that's how you connect.
I love it. I think it's just, I want people to understand that, like, the Kayla that is sitting here right now, who has, great followings on multiple platforms, who people recognize, the Kayla who was invited to be one of the contributors of Rethink Everything, about being a next gen loan officer. These are all doors that opened because of social media, but you didn't start there. You started, posting and you're, the title company making fun of you for posts or, for taking pictures, right? Like you started thinking that it wasn't going to work. And fast forward, people are seeing years of work sort of coming into fruition. So I love that story. What I want to do is talk about LinkedIn, because you have more than really anybody that I know of as far as an originating loan officer, right? Not an executive within the mortgage space, not a marketing guy or a founder or owner like me, but you have actually taken LinkedIn and made something out of this platform. Can you tell me, like, do you get actual business from LinkedIn?
So yes, but it's probably not the way you think. I am not necessarily getting people reaching out saying, hey, can you help me finance a home? Although 2 weeks ago, I did close on a home in Florida for 3 gentlemen, one of which I met on LinkedIn, and it took us 2.5 years to get them this investment property that the 3 of them want. So I can say that has happened, but some of my best referral sources I've connected with on LinkedIn. One of them is down in another state. He saw that, I financed in his state and said, hey, can you help my client? I helped his client. He had a great experience with me. He's a financial advisor and, is looking to partner with people like me. And his team now is so incredible at sending me business. So it's the relationships that I've created more so than like random people reaching out. So it's created so many connections that have led from one thing to another. And so now, I think about these 3 gentlemen I helped, they now are wanting to maybe use me again, or they're, they're praising me and telling their colleagues. So it's kind of like, as I talk about my chapter as well, like the 6 degrees to Kevin Bacon. You never know, when you close a loan, that client is going to go probably tell their family. So when I think about if I connected the dots, a lot of things have started because of LinkedIn. And it might not be a direct message of helping someone immediately. It's just, that led to one thing which led to another.
Gosh, that's awesome. Okay. So I want to paint this picture because people who see this are going to be in differing like levels and stages of their journey for like social media marketing and how to do it and what to do, what not to do. So tell me, when you're on LinkedIn and you are trying to build a brand, that you have and that you're continuing to build, you're building the relationships. Do you just find a real estate agent or a financial planner and then just like hop into their DMs and say, hey, let's do business together?
I don't, but there's not a lot of realtors on LinkedIn. And I think that's going to change. I think that they need to get on there, to be honest with you. And I think that we will see a shift, at least not in my market. There's not a ton that are utilizing it, but I know like that will soon shift, especially with potential changes coming. But I will go and add people. You can search, financial planner, divorce attorney. You can go add people. And then what I do is I'm just not aggressive like that. Like, hey, do you need any help? But I will post things that they will see. And if they like or comment, I make sure then at that point to connect with them or, DM them. But what I do is I post, and they see it. Again, it's the familiarity. I keep seeing this girl. Who is this girl that's helping, these clients and they're seeing the stories, and I then will reach out. But a lot of times I'm just adding them as a connection so that then they're for sure going to see my posts.
Yeah. So I talk about this pretty often. So everybody watching this will have likely heard this, but hopefully it hits some new eyeballs here. But it's exactly what you're talking about. So the psychological principle is called familiarity bias, and it just simply says that the more that people see you, the more those people trust you. And you think about it from the perspective of a movie star, right? Who is in front of people all of the time. They have built trust. You feel like you know that person, even though you don't. You walk on the street, you see that person, they're not going to know you. You're going to know them. They're not going to know you. And so that's why brands like take these big time stars like The Rock and others, and associate themselves with the brand, because then you trust the brand because you trust them. And so when I have loan officers who ask me and they're like, I'm afraid to post too much. I don't want to overdo it. I don't want to annoy anybody. I'm like, well, listen, as soon as they scroll past you, they're going to forget about you anyways. But like, you want to be familiar. And if it's true that the more you are seen, the more you're trusted, then just go crazy. Do what you got to do. Of course, you want to try to provide value, but get out there and let them know what you do. And you do a great job of that. You have, and I know everybody talks about this whenever they hang out with you, like you got some awesome dogs, and those dogs make a lot of, it's just smart. Regardless, like even if you don't like dogs, what you should do is go get dogs and take pictures with them, because everybody else loves dogs. But you're actually, I mean, I know you're a good person before we even knew each other, because of the dogs. So dog people unite. Love it. But what do you get? Like what does that do? Bringing some of the personal stuff in, and this is a topic of like some different sides. People say do it, put personal stuff in there. Other people say don't. I love how you bring that aspect in. Can you just tell me a little bit about what that has done as far as making you relatable and conversation starters?
You know, it's funny. I just had a meeting this morning talking about brand strategy with a business owner about this. I was at a point, it was in 2021, I believe, where I had to kind of go to Instagram. I had a personal and a business Instagram. And I'm like, okay, the people that really know me over here. The business people just know Kayla over here. And I started to see there was a few other loan officers that were sharing personal things on their business. And right away, I'm like, ugh, I don't know. Like, I'm a mortgage lender. I'm supposed to be like, you know, kind of suit and tie like and professional. Yeah. And it dawned on me that, if people got to know Kayla and know who I am and the hobbies I have, the things I do, the dogs that we've rescued, I was noticing that when I would post personal, that it would create conversations about that. And so I remember walking into a brokerage in Fargo one time, and there was a realtor with her dog there. And I'm like, puppy, because I love dogs. She and I are now good friends because of that connection. And I realized, like, I was creating conversations with it allowed people to come into my DMs so much more warmly, and vice versa. And you'd connect over things like dogs. And so when I started to get personal, people realized, oh, this is who Kayla is as a person. And I really adore that she does X, Y, Z, or, maybe they don't like that I do it. But the moment that you start to show who you are is the moment that you let your boundaries down. And getting a mortgage is terrifying. I think there was a stat that 65% of people would rather go to the dentist than meet with a mortgage lender. But
wow, that's wild. That's like, crazy. But we got to change that. We got to change that narrative.
And we're just humans. Like, that's just it. So people are attracted to other humans, and it's terrifying that these consumers see us as, so professional, and let's look at your financials and all of this. But when you let your boundaries down a little bit and let people inside, that's how they get to trust you.
That's awesome word right there. That's good stuff. That's really good stuff. Okay. So I want to kind of wrap this thing up and with a nice bow, and let some of the loan officers who might be watching this, and really this is applicable to any industry. So, the truths are the truths, and you're just changing the message based upon your audience. But I would love to get your advice for somebody who is just starting out. A loan officer is just starting out. They've been on the fence about social media and how, if they can even have success with it. They're looking at people who are well down the road and think they can never get there. What would be your biggest advice to them, that maybe something actionable too that they could start doing? But what advice would you give that loan officer?
A few pieces of advice. I think we all get in our heads. I see people that have way more followers than me, or, I see that there's certain divisions at companies that they have, a social media division. They're getting so many leads. And I think even I get in my head because I don't get a ton of like leads coming in. It's just, you got to play the long game. And that long game is you just never know when that one person could lead to multiple transactions, et cetera. But what I would say is that first and foremost, forget the followers. Forget the amount of followers, because we spend so much time trying to get a coffee with a realtor or a financial planner, and that's one-to-one.
Yeah.
You have the ability to go one to many. You do. And so when you think of even 20 followers, what would you do to be in front of 20 people in person? Think of then 1,000 followers. I mean, that's a small little arena in Fargo. Like, there are so many ways to look at this, but you have to get over, and myself included, because I get in my head about how many followers you have. That would be
absolutely
one of the biggest things. My second actionable item is that you need to kind of forget about the content for just a little bit. If you're struggling, I mean, there's ways that you can get around that, and there's a lot of people that can help you. But start engaging, start having conversations. Yeah. Like, when you like somebody's post, they're going to feel like, oh, that's really nice. When you comment on their post, when you share their post, I don't know about you, but don't you feel pretty amazing when someone comments or shares your post?
When Kayla comments on my LinkedIn posts or my Facebook post, yes, I love it. I love it. It's like it's a deposit into your relationship bank.
Yes. And I think we get so used to just scroll. Yeah. And what do I post? Stop and start supporting other people. Because that's how relationships get created. And then sometimes that's how you can, start hopping in their DMs or continuing the conversation with other people. So I would say focus on engagement and don't just like. I think the comment is likes get lost. Comment and share and do it genuinely. And I know that word gets thrown out, but don't just write. I always say happy birthday. It's like, be meaningful and share how you feel and just start just pouring into others. It's amazing what happens when you do. And then my last, actionable item, a lot of people get caught up on, what do I post? What do I post? And one of the things that I do is I don't batch. Maybe that's right, wrong, or indifferent, but I post based on what I'm seeing that day or that week, because I'm passionate about it. My client just went through it. I just helped it. That person succeed. Think about the things that you're dealing with. Think about the questions that you get that are so simple, because it's so common that we just assume the consumer knows everything. And so maybe what are some questions that you get that you're like, oh, that's a simple question I get a lot. I mean, those are two ways that you can just you should have so much content. If you're talking to 2 people a day, you've got content. Yeah. So that's kind of like what I do. And then I tell those stories through my social.
I love it. I mean, that's huge advice. I'll say your first one, your first piece of advice. It is easy to say with not having followers compared to having followers. It's easy to say. It's hard to believe if you're on the side of not having many followers. And what I try to do for people is, first I tell them my story. My story is that I don't want to be connected to just anyone. I have a very specific audience that I want to be connected with. And so I could blow up my LinkedIn following drastically quickly, but it wouldn't be my ideal customer. And it wouldn't be the real community I'm trying to build, which is loan officers and mortgage people, right? But what I do, I've done a couple posts with this image, but I like to show people an image of a lecture hall, and it has 500 people in it, and you can see like most everyone I know would be terrified to speak in front of even 20 people.
Yeah.
And so we have our numbers very skewed, because what we do is we see, these big influencer accounts that have just so many, You don't need 100 people. You could, I mean, do some crazy damage in a good way, right? You could build a business off of that. And so I love that. The engagement tip, I hope people will hear that and follow that advice. You and me are just on the same page. I think we've experienced the same things. And so like what I say is, content is extremely important. Engagement is extremely important. And those are the two success, those are the two ways for success on social. But if I had to choose one or the other, I'm choosing engagement over content. And that surprises a lot of people, but that's how relationships are built. And let me tell you something, loan officers, you ready for this? This is going to be a, it's going to be maybe a light bulb moment for you. I have a lot of loan officers over the years that get upset with what they can and cannot do, mainly what they cannot do on social media because of their compliance department. Typically compliance, they ain't worried about the comment section. So jump in there and give your thoughts, guys. Like, I'm not saying go in there and like say stuff that'll get you in trouble, but like the comments are where the action is anyways. Don't worry about not being able to post product guidelines or interest rate numbers, and your audience really isn't going to care anyways. And go out there and start engaging and networking and just be yourself online. So this has been awesome. It's been incredible. Anything you want to say before we jump off? Because I feel like you've given a lot today and a lot of insight, and I just really appreciate it.
You know, I would just leave it at this. It's like you just need one person to see your post or one person to engage that could literally lead to so much business, so much impact. And so one of the biggest pieces I'll leave is get over the numbers, forget about the followers. Like we said, all it takes is one connection. And whether you're posting and whether you're commenting in someone else's post, I love the compliance thing that you said because you're not looking in the comments. But just take that leap, because if you get over that comparison of someone else, I mean, your imperfect post or your imperfect comment is better than something that you've never posted or never made. So just take the leap. Don't be afraid.
I love it. All right. So last thing, if people want to find you, which I'm sure they will after seeing this, if they don't already know you, how can they find you on social? Where can they find you on social?
You can Google me, Kayla Calendar with a K. You'll find me, Kayla Calendar Mortgage on Instagram, Kayla Calendar on LinkedIn, Kayla Calendar on TikTok. But a quick Google search will take you to all the good things.
Love it. All right, Kayla, thanks so much. Appreciate everybody joining today. And we'll see you next Friday for another WinSocial Live. Thanks for hanging, everybody.